When I was leaving LA, I was leaving in LA not to move, but I did it to shut a chapter in my life and move on to a next chapter. What I saw before I left, and it wasn't anything to do with sex or girls, it was just a common attitude and what had happened to comedians in general, that I knew this wasn't going to get any better. It wasn't the pandemic, it wasn't Netflix, it wasn't anything. It was just things had changed in the world of comedy. When I moved to Los Angeles, a comedian, toured 20 weeks. He shot a show 20 weeks, and he lived his life the other 20 weeks. You toured around Los Angeles, you did the improvs, you did, well, back before I started, you did Igby's and the Ice House and all these other things. And then the game changed. The game changed, and it was more about, it wasn't about the brick wall and the microphone no more. It was about 300-seat clubs and 400-seat clubs and 600-seat clubs and 700-seat clubs, and people trying to exploit it from everywhere they could. And I understand things grow. Things are supposed to fucking evolve. But it wasn't about the quality anymore. I mean, people shoot specials every fucking year, and as a comic and as a comedy fan and as a comedy fucking whatever the fuck you might want to call me, anybody knows. That's why I love the white dude that used to Anthony Jeselnik. I'm a big fan of Anthony Jeselnik, because Anthony Jeselnik will run a material in a comedy club for a year, then he moves on to a theater for a year, then he shoots a special. He's not worried about that check. Most people would take, in 3 years, would shoot 2 specials. Anthony Jeselnik cares. He shoots 1 special, and for that I applaud him. But what I'm talking about here, it just wasn't about me at the Comedy Store getting my dick sucked in 1997. It became something bigger than that on all fronts. The podcast scene came in. That blew up people, I benefited a lot from the podcast scene, because it went right back to where I'm, one of my strong points, which is fucking storytelling, So you get on these fucking podcasts, you tell stories. It's the pathway to fucking, people really admiring you for whatever the fuck you do, whatever stupid stories I said. We added the podcast to that. Listen, guys, let's be honest. If you work the road like any of these guys, you have enough money. That's a great comedy living. You add a podcast to it, it becomes even a greater podcast living. Now you say to yourself, how can I balance all this? How can I balance all this? How can I balance the comedy, the podcasting, the writing, the lifting, my family, my wife? How can I balance all this? And if you really want it, like I did 2 podcasts a week, and I did every other weekend down the road, okay? When I say every other weekend, it's 4 fucking shows a weekend, 2 in one theater, 2 in another theater, and you're out there fucking banging it every week regardless. And now, remember, the weeks I'm off, the weeks I'm not on the road, doesn't mean I'm home fanning my balls with some guy feeding me fucking coconut chips. No, I'm doing Tuesday at the store, not 1 show, 2 shows. Thursday at the show, 2 shows, maybe even 3. An original room, a belly room, a main room, and maybe a 10 o'clock main room. I wouldn't go out on Fridays. Fridays is for my family. And I went out on fucking Saturday nights to the Ice House, the store. I always did the 9:30 spot, and whatever anybody else called me with. People always call you with something. Hey, I got this room. This guy canceled. Can you stop by and do 10 minutes? So I was always fucking moving. After a while, you're like, okay, what needs to be done here? Okay, I'm not seeing my wife enough. She's bitching. I'm not seeing my daughter enough. She's bitching. I've gained 13 pounds. I'm not working out, but my bank account is okay. And I'm having fun on the podcast. I'm doing all these things, but you look and you see what's my income and what's it causing to my family. I mean, what's the damage doing to me? I'm a big fucking reader, and I'm excited about 2023 because I started reading again. I lost a little contact by not being on the road and on planes. I stopped reading. I love reading on a plane. There's nothing better than, I love preparing to fucking read, like getting in a corner and smoking a bong hit and maybe getting a fucking Coke Zero and putting ice cubes in it and knowing I'm not going to move for an hour and a half. If I move, it's to fucking take 3 more hits off that fucking joint.